So here we are at the end of March, and this month has been about for each of us to really understand that we can create sustainable abundance. That's been the theme the entire month. Sustainable abundance. How do we create that in our lives? And we've talked about multiple ways that can happen. We talked about multiplying the impact. We talked about being good stewards. We talked about being aligned with the abundance that is. And today, we're talking about the abundant life, the abundant life. Because so frequently in this teaching, and I think in all religion, actually, what can happen is we understand something intellectually, right? We understand Scripture intellectually, or we understand the Ernest Holmes teachings or Science of Mind intellectually, right? We understand it cerebrally, but actually living it, what does that look like? And I'm always very interested in how are we living, right? How do we live these principles? And so today I want to talk about the abundant life. Here's what's really interesting. I get the download of whatever the theme is, and then the talk titles. And so the abundant life came through, and I was sort of like, that's interesting. It feels a little familiar. And then I remembered earlier this week, a few days ago, that when I was in ministerial school in 2019, we had a class called First Ministry. And in that class, we had to write a paper. Our final was actually creating a ministry. So we had to create like the name and our vision and all these different things related to the ministry. And actually, that was the template and the blueprint I used to found this ministry, but I had completely forgotten it. So I want to share with you what I wrote in this paper, and I have to toggle back and forth for it. So here was the name of the ministry, Abundant Life. And the promise of the ministry, so what is it that we're promising? And I took the verse from John, from Scripture, from John 10:10. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. I am come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. And the purpose of the ministry was abundance. I'm just going through the paper here. And so here was the vision I wrote for this ministry that did not exist, was on paper. The vision is, I inspire people to create and live their best lives in a world rooted in the natural state of God-given abundance. So inspiring people to create and live their best lives in a world that's rooted in abundance. And so there's some other things here, but in this brief description of ministry, this is what I've been talking about all month and what I talk about all the time. So here's what I wrote. The sources of all societal ills, violence, enslavement, wars, rumors of wars, human trafficking, climate change, addictions, etc., all of this is the result of our collective agreement to live in the dream state of lack and limitation versus living in the true state of God-given abundance. When we look at the natural world that is untouched by humans, we see abundant life, we see an intelligent design, we see natural organic diversity, and we see a deep harmony. And the circle of life rolls on, the natural order of life prevails, so on and so forth. And so this is like what I wrote 7 years ago. And in one of the questions the professor wanted us to do is like, who are we? And it says, abundant life is a revelation of the love of God and its deep care for all of life. We're a natural manifestation of the beloved community, a warm, multi-ethnic, lovingly inclusive, and vibrant, growing congregation. And our congregation is from all walks of life, but mostly we would be considered the creative class. So that's, entrepreneurs, coaches, professionals, musicians, all kinds of creatives. And I said that we would be existing in a city to be determined, right? So so I was just so stunned when I went back and read this, and there's more, and I don't want to read it. It'd be great if we had a screen, you could actually see some of this. But it was just, I sat here reading this going, what? So I wrote that 7 years ago, right? And I wrote, this is what's really funny, I wrote the paper in the class because we had to write this as a paper, but I had no intention of starting a church. I just wrote the paper because that's what I had to do in class, right? I was thinking still I was going to do something with my corporate business, evolve it in some way. But for the class, I had to do something, so this is what I wrote. And so here we are in March 2026 in Silicon Valley talking about how to create sustainable abundance. And more I realized that I am charged up by having this conversation about abundance, because what I see in the world everywhere is a separation and lack. And we're seeing it play out time and time again in social media, in our politics, in everything is being separate from spirit, and so we're separate from each other. And it's producing all of these crazy, insane outcomes that, we could literally wipe ourselves off the planet if we don't get to the real knowing that we're each one of us is created out of the divine. We come from one source. And if we don't capture that, or enough of us don't capture that as human family, what happens, right? So I just wanted to share that with you because I was reading that going, well, that's interesting, very interesting. So today, in talking about the abundant life, I want to just say again that abundance is not something we achieve. And so many times we think abundance is something we achieve versus something we open ourselves to. It already exists. There's nothing to achieve around abundance. There is only opening to it, aligning with it, because it already exists. It's the natural order. Like, we don't try to achieve air, or achieve breathing, right? We just breathe. And abundance is the same way. And so I want to talk today about how we three counterintuitive ways that we don't live in alignment with abundance, right? So one of the things that happens a lot when we are following and have this collective agreement around lack and limitation, right? Around, I am separate from that which created me, so therefore I'm separate from all of its creations, right? When we have the othering that happens. So there's certain things that begin to happen then. So one is that we begin to, if I am separate from you, right, and you are the other, and if there are limited resources and there's lack and limitation, that means I have to compete, right? I need to compete with you. Or I compare myself to you, which is the precursor to competition, right? So I want to invite us into, and so we see this happening on the world stage right now, right? In big, big ways. But the invitation in the abundant life is to look at for your own self, how are you participating in that in your life? And so my invitation to you is to really look at if there is a place that you are comparing yourself to another, right? To another person, one of your peers, your friends, someone that you see on socials or some other place. If you're comparing yourself to someone else, then you are out of alignment with the abundant life, right? Because what you're doing is you're looking at someone else's external and comparing yourself to that external picture. And you have no idea what their divine assignment is. You have no idea what their soul's journey is. You have no idea what their unique qualifications and their unique qualities, God-given qualities are, right? You're just looking at an external picture and then determining something or making a judgment about that against yourself. And that is saying that we don't live in an abundant universe, in an abundant world, that we somehow are separate from this abundance. Because if we are aligned with the all that is, if God is all there is, if there is full abundance, if every need is met, if God is source, then there's no way to look at another human being who is a unique expression of the one and have a way to compare, other than to say, oh, wow, that's really interesting how they're showing up. Right? Oh, wow, look at that unique thing they're doing. Wow, look at how they're doing that, right? When we get into comparing, then we're completely cut off from our source. And we're just looking at externals. There is no comparison. And I know you've heard the term comparison is the thief of joy, right? When you look at someone else and you compare, that leads to envy, that leads to, okay, now I have to compete. Oh, they're doing that, now I got to do this. Oh, they're doing that, now I have to do this. Oh, they're doing this, now I have to do this. Right? And sometimes that hijacks us without us really even being aware of it. Right? Sometimes we're not even aware that subtly we're competing, we're comparing, we're trying to one up, we're trying to get ahead, we're trying to get in front of, for what? For what? If we live in an abundant universe, we're all going to flourish and thrive and flower and blossom in the right timing for our unique way that we're built, right? The roses are not fighting with the tulips in the garden bed, right? One flourishes one way, one flourishes another way. And yet we as human family look at each other, and then we start this whole competition thing. And when we look at war that's going on, war is just the ultimate competition. It's the ultimate competition, right? How can I get, I'm comparing, how do I get what other people have? How do I gather resources? How do I hoard them, right? And so really looking for ourselves, if there is a person, a place, a space, a situation that you're looking at and comparing yourself, to let it go. To let it go and just recognize, wow, look at how God is showing up in that individual. Look at what God is doing, right? Maybe I can learn something from what is happening that I'm seeing in front of me versus trying to compete with it, right? Maybe there's something I can learn from it. Maybe I befriend that person, right? And then I'm in the vibration of whatever's happening with them, right? So this is one of the counterintuitive ways to be aligned and living from abundance versus just talking about it, right? Living from an abundant state. You know, the second thing that was the second thing. So the other thing that happens for us, and it's related to this comparing and competition, is many times we don't honor what is ours to create. Right? There's something that we are here to create. There may be multiple things. There is a song that we are here to sing. There is a job that we are here to do. There is something that we are to give voice to. We're made for it. We're created for it, and we're placed here for it. And so frequently we don't honor that. Right? Instead, we honor the voices of our parents who want us to do certain things, or the voices of society who want us to do certain things, or the voices of our colleagues who expect certain things, or the voices of our spiritual community who expect us to do certain things. Right? We honor the voices of all the externals who want to shape how we show up or what we should be doing versus really honoring that which is ours to do. And that, again, is disavowing abundance. If you are not honoring your uniqueness, your unique path, your unique skills, your unique assignment, if you're not really honoring that, then you're living cut off from the natural flow. Because you're living cut off from the way you were designed and why you were planted in this space, right? And so the invitation is to really look at getting rid of the voices of others. And in Manifest More Money, we're working right now and doing a lot of work around identity, right? And this is what it speaks to. Like, who are you really? Who are you pretending to be? Who are you? Who can you choose to be? Who do you need to evolve into to have the kind of life you really want, right? These are big questions because many of us have agreed to play a certain role. We've agreed to be, the good girl, the this, the that. Like, we've agreed to play certain roles, maybe in our families, maybe in societies, maybe from our culture, right? We've agreed to play certain roles. And God is calling us into the role that it designed us for. Not that our parents want, not that our community wants, not that our colleagues want, but what it wants us to be. And so really honoring what you are designed for is the most powerful aligned place of abundance. And it's sort of the root of that the book and that old saying. This used to be in New Thought a lot when I was growing up. Do what you love and the money will follow. Is that right? Yeah. Do what you love and the money will follow, right? And so that's what's at the root of that is really the deeper thing is getting aligned with what you're actually designed for and who you really are, your capital T true identity. And then that's called seeking first the kingdom. That's another way of saying seeking first the kingdom of God. And then everything else becomes added. Right? So if abundance is out of alignment in your life, in your finances, in your health, or whatever other ways, really looking at, am I honoring my true identity? Am I honoring what I'm really here for? What I'm really designed for? Do I even know what that is? Right? Or am I choosing to play small? Am I choosing am I choosing to agree to a lack and limitation consciousness? Are y'all following what I'm saying? Yeah. So these are the ways that we stay aligned, and I want to talk about these counterintuitive ways, because so frequently the conversation about abundance is, well, let's make more money. And I love talking about that. And what that is really doing is just giving you fluency around this very difficult topic, right? Giving you fluency, because we're going to need some fluency in the days that are coming, right? And to really be able to navigate our way through what is happening on this human plane. And abundance is not an achievement. It is who we are. It is who we are. And related to honoring who you truly are is expressing it. Is expressing it. Right? I came so that we might live life more abundantly. Live life more abundant. Not I came so I could contemplate abundance, right? I came so I could think about abundance. I came so I could philosophize about this stuff. No, I came to live abundantly, right? To live the abundant life. And so that identity, that uniqueness that you have has to be expressed. It has to be expressed, and when it's not expressed and it is instead suppressed, it creates dis-ease, right? Things come out of alignment because we are creative beings. We are creative beings, whether we're creating a business, whether we're creating something through our engineering mind, whether we're creating new technology, whether we're creating art, whether we're creating music, whether we're creating the systems that help our sound. All of it is creative. There's nothing that's not creative. And it's so interesting because in my coaching practice, I used to work a lot with tech executives and who don't consider themselves creative. And it's like you're actually creating stuff that we're using, right? Like you're creating all the time. You're creating code, you're creating software, you're creating all these things. It's all creative, right? And so that design has to express. It's not meant to just stay still, to just stay covered, to stay within you. It's meant to be expressed in some way. Now, it's expressed with your children and your grandchildren. That's where it is right now, right? It may be it's expressed through your book. It may be it's expressed through your music. It may be it's expressed through your speaking. It may be expressed through your socials, right? There are any number of ways that can be happening. And there will be multiple ways that it will express through your lifetime. But my invitation to you right now is to really think about, how does this powerful presence that is within me, how does it want to express through me right now, in this time? How does it want to express right now? Am I willing to let go of the ways I'm holding myself back? Am I willing to let go of the false stories? Am I willing to let go of the false identities? Am I willing to let go of the fear? Am I willing to let go of the chains I placed on my own self? And express, right? Because God is always creating. We know this through the creative process. There's always seeds being planted, and there's always the cultivation of the seeds. There's always the law of then moving and expressing whatever it is into form. That is the nature of life, creativity. We see it over and over and over, birthing and expressing and expressing and expressing. And so the more you are aligned with that, you are aligned then with abundance. And so that is the walk in the abundant life. It's not just about, how do I get more abundance? And that's part of it, right? Because to get more abundance, you have to be open to that. You have to open yourself to that and align with it. But it's also about how am I living in these little nooks and crannies of my life? How am I living in my relationships with others? Right? How am I living in my interactions, in the things I look at, in the things I envy, in the things I resist? Because all of that has to do with abundance, right? Being totally aligned. And here's the thing, when you live an abundant life, you are moving from such stability. You're moving from a knowing of full support, of knowing that Source has got your back. The universe has got your back. The cosmos has got your back. Everything is working together for your good. When you are aligned with the abundance that is, the abundant life then becomes a life where your nervous system is regulated. Right? It may not be perfect, but your ability to navigate through these choppy waters and these turbulent times becomes so secured because you know you're on solid ground and you know that you are one with that which sources and resources and resources and resources everything. Right? And so that is what's needed as we walk through these times, to be really aligned with that power and presence that is inexhaustible, We can't even quantify what it is. We cannot even capture it. And to even name it doesn't even begin, but as humans, we have to give things a label, right? And the only way that you feel and sense this abundance is you've got to be in relationship with it. You've got to sit with it. You've got to do your meditation. Be quiet, be still, especially now when the world, the more and more, it's harder and harder to have mastery over your attention, mastery over where your mind goes. And the folks who have mastery over their minds will win the game, right? Because otherwise you're hijacked every second by all the news that's coming at you. Yes. And so we are pulled into this deeper practice, this deeper knowing of sitting with the divine, of gathering together on Sundays or whenever, right? Praying together, 2 or more gathered, amplified. 2 or more gathered, amplified. 2 or more gathered, amplifies the abundance that is. And so that's our invitation right now. That is our invitation, because the world is just going to get noisier. It's just going to get noisier. We are on one heck of a roller coaster. And humanly, things will get noisier, which means we have to get deeper, more rooted, more anchored. And there is no other way around it, right, to navigate through these times. So that is my invitation to us, to really be about living the abundant life versus philosophizing about it. Living the abundant life versus just thinking about it, writing about it, talking about it, right? Living the abundant life no matter what the world looks like and no matter what lie is told about scarcity, lack, and limitation, that we're in, so anchored in that abundant life that we can navigate through and be a light to others who are ensnared by the world's story, right? That's why we're here. That's why we're here. Are y'all with me this morning? Yes. Let's turn within.